The story begins with the gods who, after creating the universe, descended from heaven to live among humans. But on the sole condition that they would never use their godly powers ever again. With this condition in place, the gods' only power is the blessing. This enables the humans, known as familia, to level up their powers. The whole thing is quite similar to how characters level up in video games. So, you get the picture. These humans, known as familia, become one of that god's very kin. However, things look grim when Bel Cranel, the only member of the goddess Hestia's family, is almost killed by a minotaur. But he's saved by Ace Wallenstein, a high-level adventurer and a member of the familia of the goddess Loki. He falls in love with her. Hestia realizes that he has gained the magical skill, Rayless Phrase. This will raise his level rapidly based on the strength of his feelings. The skill is even more effective when he fights. But Hestia decides to keep it a secret. I mean, that's a given since that makes him very valuable and other gods may try to acquire him. Just who are the gods in this universe? The next day, after adventuring, Bel's status rises dramatically. Bel plans on talking to Ace, but he overhears her familia talking about how he embarrassed himself fighting the Minotaur. Realizing how pathetic he must seem compared to Ace, he breaks down and runs off. Absent-mindedly, he enters the dungeon to let off some steam. He desperately slays as many monsters as he can. After a lot of slaying, he returns to Hestia in the morning, though not in one piece. But he is inspired nonetheless. Hestia continues to keep the Rayless Phrase secret from Bel to prevent doubt. She passes off his improvement as the result of hard work. She also announces that she'll be absent for several days. Afterward, Hestia seeks out the god of smiths, Hephaestus, and begs to forge a weapon for Bel. After hours of groveling and the god's opposition, Hestia convinces Hephaestus to forge the weapon. But the catch is that Hestia will pay for it no matter how many centuries it takes. Hephaestus forges an enchanted tanto for Bel. Soon after, Bel is asked by the maids of the hostess of Fertility Pub to return a purse to Seer, a waitress who has a huge crush on Bel. Love is in the air everywhere. Then, an unnamed goddess contacts Loki, trying to locate someone in a familia. She intends on acquiring them. However, the description of this person matches Bel perfectly. Hestia locates Bel and insists they go on a romantic date. The unnamed goddess then releases a captured albino gorilla monster. The beast is then ordered to capture Bel. A cornered Bel tries to attack it with his original knife, only for it to shatter soon after. However, being desperate to protect Hestia, he locks her on the other side of a metal gate and gets all armed and ready to fight the gorilla unarmed. Then we see flashbacks showing us how Bel decided to become an adventurer after his grandfather was killed. Eventually, arriving in Ororio and meeting Hestia, he ends up becoming a part of her familia. The god Ganesha, whose arena the gorilla was freed from, orders it to be recaptured before it harms innocent people. The god even asks for other familia to help. Meanwhile, Hestia finds her way back to Bel, and they flee from the gorilla together. Afterwards, Hestia gives Bel the tanto she calls the Hestia knife. This is a living weapon, enchanted to grow more powerful the stronger Bel becomes. As Bel holds the weapon for the first time, his stat level rises dramatically. As a matter of fact, he kills the gorilla in a matter of seconds. Talk about being heroic. The deed is witnessed by many people, including Ace. She smiles before walking away. Hestia then suddenly faints as the unknown goddess watches from afar. As Hestia recovers, Bel realizes that the Hestia knife was forged by Hephaestus. He immediately reaches the conclusion that it was incredibly expensive and swears to have faith in Hestia. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, adventurer Gedreich is shown mistreating a young girl named Lily Ruka. He forces the girl to carry his equipment and threatens to let the monsters kill her if she disappoints him. This is not who you want to grow up with. 2 kids, Bel decides to enter the more dangerous levels of the dungeon. As a result, the guild advisor, Aina Toll, insists that they buy him better armor. Afterwards, Bel becomes flustered when Aina turns up dressed for a date. The two come across Hestia working to pay her debt to Hephaestus. Hestia ends up becoming jealous of Aina. Bel then purchases armor made by a blacksmith he's never heard of. Aina also gives him extra waist armor. Belle also saves Lily Ruka from Ged, but she disappears. Lily Ruka reappears soon after, revealing herself to be a shapeshifter. She even offers her services as a supporter, but that soon changes to stealing the Hestia knife. Afterwards, she attempts to sell it, but her luck runs out when she finds out that when separated from Belle, it becomes blunt and worthless. However, she is spotted carrying the knife by Ryu Lion, a waitress from the Hostess of Fertility. Lily Ruka runs away but ends up bumping into Belle. With the knife returned to its owner and being totally unaware that Lily Ruka had tried to steal it, Belle splits the money evenly with her. This shocks her, as all her previous partners had paid her almost nothing. Then, Ace is seen in the dungeon, preparing to fight a powerful monster while the unknown goddess, revealed to be Freya, watches. Belle, Hestia is devastated when she sees Belle with Lily Ruka, to which Belle offers to take Castillo to dinner. As she arrives for their date, she finds out that Demeter has spread the gossip far and wide, and Belle is mobbed by multiple goddesses eager to meet Hestia's very first boyfriend. As a result, they spend most of the day avoiding detection from all these goddesses, constantly on their toes. Lily Ruka ends up losing the money to the members of her Soma Familia and becomes determined to steal Belle's knife. But she becomes even more confused as Belle continues to treat her kindly. After reading a book on magic he borrowed from Seer, Belle learns the Firebolt spell. He rushes to the dungeon to test his new ability, but being unfamiliar with magic, he overexerts himself and loses consciousness. Ice finds him and puts his head in her lap until he wakes up. Once he does, he flees, embarrassed in front of her again. While looking for Lily Ruka, Belle refuses an order from Ged to make a profit by stealing the money Lily Ruka had managed to hide from the Soma Familia. After her parents died, Lily Ruka was forced to become a supporter until she came to have animosity towards all adventurers. The Loki Familia discovers that the Soma Familia has ceased worshipping their god. Instead, they've been brewing a powerful wine that's so addictive that other adventurers hand over their entire fortunes just to have a taste. Ice, who has grown interested in Belle, has been depressed since he ran away from her once again. Aina, being suspicious of Lily Ruka, asks Ice for a favor in the dungeon. Lily Ruka tricks Belle into fighting powerful monsters and steals his knife yet again. She is caught by Ged, who was suddenly betrayed by the Soma Familia. Ged is killed, and Lily Ruka is forced to surrender her key before being left to be killed by monster ants. Accepting her death, she's surprised when Belle suddenly appears and saves her. Lily Ruka cries and admits to having cheated or stolen from him. Despite this, Belle forgives her, and they form a true relationship. Meanwhile, Ice, who had hidden in the thick fog to kill the monsters attacking Belle, is mad at herself for forgetting to apologize to him. When she finds a piece of his armor he lost during their fight, Ace goes to meet Hestia with Belle, where she apologizes for her actions. Hestia hastily, reluctantly accepts, telling her to watch over Belle. They proceed to fight for him while he runs off. While embarrassed, Belle goes up to meet with Aina. Ice is there waiting with her. She stops him before he can run off again. Ice returns his lost arm gauntlet she found in the dungeon and apologizes for scaring him off so many times. He, in turn, apologizes back and thanks her for having saved him multiple times. Realizing he's not strong enough to reach his goal, Ice agrees to train him to get better at combat. During their training, Belle is constantly knocked out, but the character continues to get up. Ice asks the secret behind his strength, and he tells her that it's because there's someone he wants to get closer to. While out getting food, they run into Hestia working, who becomes enraged after seeing him with another girl. She reluctantly allows him to continue training with her. Meanwhile, Freya sends her captain, Otter, into the dungeon. There, he tames and arms a minotaur before unleashing him on the upper floors. Belle discovers Ice has officially ranked up to level 6. He pushes his drive even more to make her reach even higher while assisting Seer in chores. Ryu tells him that he should be looking to expand his party, that going on adventures is the key to leveling up. Belle and Ace conclude their training as the Loki Familia heads into the dungeon for their expedition, exploring Floor 9 with Lily. Belle is cornered by the Minotaur, where he freezes in shock. Lily is knocked out saving him, leaving Belle forced to try to fight alone. The Loki familia shows up to save him, but being upset by how things stand, Bel pushes them aside. He goes on to proclaim that he doesn't want to be saved by her ever again. He manages to hold the Minotaur back, pushing himself to his limits while Lily and the Loki familia look in awe. He finally defeats the Minotaur, cutting it up with its own sword and putting that one last powerful firebolt to its best use. With the monster defeated, Bel stands victorious and unconscious. The Loki familia is speechless, especially after learning that all of his stats are S rank. Shortly after, Bel awakens back at home and is confronted by Hestia. The two reminisce about how strong he's grown. Bel officially ranks up to level 2 and develops a new skill, Argonaut. Hestia attends a meeting with the other gods where the adventurers are given nicknames. Bel's is chosen to be the Little Rookie. Celebrating at the bar with Lafia, Ryu, and others, Ryu reminds them that if they plan on heading to the middle floors, they need to join a party to have an easier time facing the dangers. While looking for more armor, Bel runs into the very man himself, Welf Kratzo. Welf makes a deal with Bel to provide him with more armor and future discounts on deals, only if he can join his party. While in the party, Lily is apprehensive of Welf, especially after learning he's a Kratzo and estranged from the Hephaestus familia. Fighting a dragon, Bel discovers that his Argonaut ability grants him a last-minute power boost in battle, literally plot armor ex machina. Meanwhile, the Loki familia finds themselves inspired by Bel's actions, which ends up pushing them all harder to fight. Bel later learns from Hestia that Welf has the ability to make magic swords like his descendants, but he chooses not to do so for various reasons. Magic swords bring out the worst in people, in his opinion, and he wants his work to stand out on its own. He forges Bel's bullhorn into a new knife as a thank you gift for being friends. Some time later, Bel, Welf, and Lily prepare themselves to head into the dungeon's middle floors. Hestia worries about Bel's safety as they continue to head further down into the middle floors, commenting on the frequent earthquakes that have been occurring as of late. Meanwhile, Hermes and his assistant, Asphi, start looking around town for information on Bel. Bel, Welf, and Lily find themselves cornered against a horde of rabbit monsters, where they encounter the retreating Takamikazuchi familia. They pass by them, escaping the room. This leaves Bel and his party forced to also deal with the hellhounds chasing them. They try to fight back and escape as best as they can, only for the earthquakes to occur. This injures Welf and blocks them in with no other way out. Lily recommends heading further down to the 18th floor's safe zone to rest. Bel agrees to that, and they push through. Hestia is approached by Takamikazuchi and his familia, who apologize for their actions. So she requests their help in rescuing Bel. Hermes also shows up, offering his and Asphi's assistance on the quest. He and Hestia insist on joining, even though the gods are forbidden from entering the dungeon. Bel and the party struggle to keep their strength as the monsters get worse, while Hestia and her party prepare to head into the dungeon with newfound assistance from Ryu. Bel, Lily, and Welf continue their way further down the dungeon, Hestia and her party slowly following suit. Hestia confronts Hermes as to why he's so interested in Bel, to which the reveal comes that he's been assigned to watch over him by someone. Welf and Lily overexert themselves, leaving Bel to carry them the rest of the way. He manages to barely make it past the 17th floor Goliath boss and arrives on the 18th floor before finally passing out. He wakes up in a tent beside Ace, whose familia is revealed to have rescued and healed the three of them. Bel thanks them for their help, and Ace shows him around. Later that night, after everyone's recovered, they're treated to dinner as guests. When Hestia and her party finally catch up with Bel, things are looking good. Makoto and her family apologize for their actions, and Bel forgives them, with Welf and Lily reluctantly doing the same. Afterwards, Ace goes to check up on Bel and tells him about the town on the floor. An eavesdropping Hestia shows up and invites herself to the visit without anyone saying anything at all. Meanwhile, Welf agonizes over Hephaestus's comments about rethinking his stance on magic swords. Bel and the rest of the group visit the town of Rivera, where Bel runs afoul of a couple of aggressive adventurers he had a previous encounter with. The girls decide to take a bath while Hermes takes Bel to talk. Somewhere, Bel realizes Hermes brought him just to spy on the girls. He inadvertently runs into Ryu, who reveals that she is the lone survivor of a murdered familia and was blacklisted from the guild after avenging their deaths. Afterwards, she was taken in by Seer. She tells him not to rely on her, but Belle manages to cheer her up. The rogue adventurers, jealous of Belle's growth, all plan a way to get back at him. As Ice and her familia head back home, Hestia is kidnapped by the adventurers, leaving a letter behind for Belle to face them alone. The lead adventurer challenges Belle to a duel, where he utilizes a magic helmet to turn himself invisible to give Belle a beating. The encounter ends up being set up by Hermes to test Belle's abilities. As Belle manages to fight back and turn the tide of battle, the rest of the party soon shows up as reinforcements, and an escaped Hestia unleashes her divine powers to scare them all away. Before they can fully recover, an evil quake starts to occur on the floor, and an even greater version of the Goliath floor boss crashes its way onto the 18th floor. Belle and the party go to assist and rescue the other adventurers. On the other hand, Ace recruits the locals together to team up and take the beast down. She and Ryu work to keep the Goliath at bay while the others take their time to set up an attack. Despite all the magic they throw at it, the Goliath quickly heals itself. Utilizing his Argonaut skill, Belle unleashes a powerful fireball blast, but it's not enough. The monster goes to attack him, and Uka then manages to shield Belle, but they're both still knocked back and unconscious. Hearing the inspiring words from Hestia, Lily, and Hermes, wanting to prove his desire to be a hero, Belle wakes up. Ryu, Asphai, Makoto, and Welf, brandishing a magic sword each, land direct hits on the monster, allowing Belle enough time to charge up and deliver the final blow, nearly disintegrating it and destroying the crystal within before it can heal again. As everyone cheers, Hestia exclaims her excitement towards Zeus that Belle is, in fact, the last of his familia and has the potential to be the hero this world needs. Back in Rio, everyone gets together at a tavern to celebrate. And that's the end of the video. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this. See you soon.